Hi guys, so now let's talk about global literacy and environmental literacy. So global literacy is especially important today in our 21st century due to globalization. So globalization can be defined as the decrease in time between spaces. Global literacy can encompass a variety of different aspects such as global interdependence, global social justice, tolerance, diversity, solidarity, active citizenship, transformative potential, environmentalism, attention to conflict, and moral purpose. So as you can see, global literacy really encompasses a whole bunch of different literacies, such as I just mentioned, the moral literacy, as well as environmental literacy, and so on. So it's pretty much the thoughtful engagement with the lived environments, which are both natural and man-made. When looking at environmental literacy, it can be defined as education about the environment, for the environment, and in the environment that promotes an understanding of rich and active experience and appreciation for the dynamic interactions of the Earth's physical and biological systems, the dependency of our social and economic system on these natural systems, the scientific and human dimensions of environmental issues, the positive and negative consequence, both intended as well as unintended, the interactions between human-created and natural systems. So, our lived environments are also increasingly interconnected. The Ontario Ministry of Education argues that through environmental literacy, students will acquire the knowledge, skills, perspectives, and practices they need to participate as responsible citizens at the local, national, and global level, caring for each other and all living things. So, a lesson we can do to integrate these two literacies, as well as media literacy and curriculum expectations from visual arts and the languages, would be to look at different environmental posters. So we would look at these posters from all different areas around the world and think and examine the different ideas of environment in different places and spaces. So we would maybe come up with a few more negative examples and a few positive examples of posters that portray the environment from different places. So then students would have to use the more positive ones to create ideas for change for the areas with more negative posters. And then how, not only would we examine these changes and how we could make them more positive, but as well as the ideas to how to actually put this into action. So how to make these places, even though they're not locally, into better environmental spaces. So then, the next literacies we're going to look at are moral literacy and financial literacy. So, moral literacy is the ability to recognize that a problem is moral in nature and to understand the varying perspectives on moral correctness. The morally literate person weighs the different responses to moral problems before communicating or demonstrating an opinion that a particular assertion is morally right. Moral literacy is connected with ethics, citizenship, and character education. So, as educators, we can consider what values should we pass on to our students, and how would they examine these values through which different lenses. So, moral literacy also includes the ability to recognize moral problems and to assess the complex issues that they raise. The ability to evaluate moral problems from many perspectives, the ability to assess disagreements on and propose responses to these problems, the ability to acknowledge differences of power in society, to seek to realize a more equitable, just, and compassionate community, and emphasis on care and connections for others through equity, empathy, and respect. So as the teacher, really the best way you can teach this is through demonstrating these skills yourself, and then your students will hopefully catch on to them as well. When looking at financial literacy, this is the ability to understand how money works in the world. So how someone manages to earn and make it, how she or he invests it, turns it into more, and how that person donates it to help others. So core competencies of financial literacy include employment, balancing budgets, paying taxes, wants versus needs, spending and saving. So when looking at a lesson that combines these two literacies, this one is really one of my favorite lessons. So it's called Moon-Based Delta, and I got it out of the in the Global Classroom book, which is actually from my Global Literacy course. So that just shows you already how these literacies also combine with the other literacy of global literacy in this totally great integrated approach. So the Moon-Based Delta is going to teach money, value, justice and equality, work, pay, sharing, fairness, trust, responsibility. Okay, so for stage 1 of this, you would have, in groups of 4, students would discuss how much to pay each worker and why at Space Station Moon-Based Delta with a total budget of 1 million moon credits, averaging 50,000 per worker. They then fill out the income distribution sheet as well as with their reasons for each position receiving a certain income. So this sheet's in the textbook. The reference is going to be posted as well if you want to look at it. So then there's a second stage to this, which is the budget has been reduced by 20%. Students must decide how to do this by reducing salaries, sending some workers back to the earth, or both. They're then going to record this on the income distribution sheet as well. So this is the financial literacy aspect. When looking at the moral literacy aspect, you could add another stage to it. So this would be reasons for why the person decided to either reduce salaries, send some workers back to earth, or give some workers more than others. So this would then allow further analysis of why the students made the decisions they did when looking at the 20% budget cut. I would then have a class discussion and allow students to go around the room to compare their group answers. This would allow for further analysis of economic justice and how income distribution can be seen as fair to some in different ways as it is to others, as well as a general discussion and analysis of decision-making skills and equity. So just to show how integrated this is again, this also would connect to the mathematics curriculum, looking at number sense and numeration. So a specific expectation would be the operational sense one, as well as different language skills and really anything you want if you want to change any of the lessons that I've talked about. So, as you can see, through each activity, there were not only the literacies mentioned, but a variety of others encompassed into the lessons that the teacher can choose to touch on. For example, critical literacy was involved in a variety of components of each lesson, as well as moral literacy and global literacy. These lessons, as well as all encompassed one or more curricular expectations from various subjects within created integrated units. Every lesson touched on at least one language expectations, while others touched on various as well as mathematics, visual arts, drama, and so on. All in all, when looking at the different competencies I talked about in the video above, combined with these different literacies and curriculum expectations, I would say what makes 21st century education is an integrated approach that provides students opportunities to develop a variety of different skills and knowledges within every lesson in the classroom. Thanks, you guys.